This is Piers Morgan walking out of an interview after someone said that Messi is the GOAT.
Messi is, for me, easily the greatest individual that I've seen.
I'm being... Sorry, can't do this.
I'm kidding. This is Piers Morgan walking out after a heated debate on Meghan Markle.
Has she said anything about you since she cut you off? I don't think she has, but yet you continue to trash her.
OK, I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no.
Sorry. So, do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can trash me, maybe not my
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't do
This is
this.
absolutely diabolical behaviour.
It certainly was, by him. But shortly after that, I lost my job for having an opinion. I chose the title because I lost my last job.
Yeah, I saw that.
At the Good Morning Britain show.
I thought you overreacted, by the way.
Well, I'll tell you what happened.
I mean, the guy was a stiff.
What happened. So I watched the Oprah Winfrey interview with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. And I'm angry watching it. I think
And you were right to be.
I thought the attacks on the royal family were disgraceful.
I agree.
And unsubstantiated. I'm calling them a bunch of...
By the way, I agree with you.
Right.
I'm a big fan of the Queen.
So here's what. So let me ask you what you would have done then. So then it turns out Meghan Markle writes to my boss at ITV and basically demands my head on a plate. Yeah. And the next day I'm told I've either got to apologise for disbelieving her, or I had to lose my job. Now, what would you have done?
I would have left, but I wouldn't have attacked the weatherman. You know, he wasn't worth it. He attacked you, and then I would have handled it differently, but that's okay.
Dislike is an understatement to how Piers feels about Meghan. In fact, quoting Piers, he said, "I wouldn't believe it if she read me a weather report." Now, that's some level of mistrust. Around 2010s, one of the most popular shows aired on TV, Suits. Although the TV show was not an instant hit, as of now, standing at an 8.4 rating, the show barely misses the top 30 of the most watched TV shows of all time, edging over the likes of The Blacklist, Peaky Blinders, Better Call Saul, and so many more. The show would shoot Meghan Markle into popularity. On September of 2015, after following a couple of Suits actors, the Good Morning Britain host, Piers Morgan, took to Twitter to write, "Started watching Suits 2 days ago. Harvey Specter is my new role model." Pleased with the praises, Markle followed him back and wrote to him that she was a big fan.
The genesis of my relationship with Meghan Markle was I started following a bunch of stars from Suits on Twitter, and she was one of them because I loved Suits. And I followed about 4 of them. And the moment I followed Meghan Markle, I get a direct message from her saying, "Oh my God, I'm such a big fan, you know, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh, okay, very nice." Start to correspond with her. We get on very well. We're talking about Suits plotline. She starts giving me a few juicy bones of plot lines to come.
Barely a week later, Elle magazine released Meghan's article addressing racism as a biracial woman. Speaking to Elle, Markle said, quote, "When I was younger, there was a mandatory census I had to complete in my English class. You had to check one of the boxes to indicate your ethnicity, white, black, Hispanic, or Asian. There was my curly hair, my freckled face, my pale skin, and my mixed race. Looking down at these boxes, not wanting to mess up, but not knowing what to do. You could only choose one, but that would be to choose one parent over the other, and one half of myself over the other." End quote. "My teacher told me to pick the box of Caucasian because that's how you look. I put my pen down, not as an act of defiance, but rather a symptom of confusion. I couldn't bring myself. I left my identity blank, a question mark, an absolute incomplete, much like how I felt." End of quote. The article was hailed particularly by Piers Morgan, who tweeted, "Brilliant article." Their exchange went on for some time, and Meghan went as far as introducing Piers to cast members, including Rick Hoffman.
Another guy in Suits who plays another character, he got involved too. And we corresponded quite regularly on Twitter, publicly and privately.
Describing their relationship, Piers penned down, "It felt like a brother and sister relationship." On June of 2016, Piers Morgan would write, "It was great to finally meet Markle." Detailing their meeting on a Daily Mail column, Piers wrote,
"Well, what's happening here?"
It's the best table in the pub.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
A little bit of a story behind it.
Well, it's quite a fun story, actually, because she then said, "I'm coming to London to watch the tennis with Serena Williams," who's her friend, and I know Serena well too. She said, "Would you like to meet up for a drink?" I said, "Come to my local pub, you know. I'm an Irishman. Come to my pub." Nobody knew who she was, but she walked in. I remember the locals, right? All these old guys like this, drinking their pints, and in walks Meghan Markle like $1 million. but they didn't know who she was, but they thought she's something special.
Yeah.
We had 2 hours in the pub. She had a couple of dirty martinis, had a couple of pints. We got on brilliantly. And then I put her in a cab, and it turned out to be a cab that took her to a party where she met Prince Harry.
From the cab, Meghan sent Piers a series of texts thanking him and saying that she was looking forward to meeting up again the next time they were in the same city. That was the last time he heard from her.
And then the next night they had a solo dinner together, and that was the last I ever heard from Meghan Markle.
After Meghan's and Harry's relationship went public, Piers wrote an article on Daily Mail wishing his new friend all the best. He wrote, and I quote, "Harry, ignore all the poisonous rubbish you are reading and hearing about her." Meghan's fangirling moment was not over, as in 2017, Piers tweeted that, "PS, do I get an invite?" at Meghan Markle. Spoiler alert, he was not invited. The ghosting seemed to inflict pain to Piers because he wrote a Daily Mail article with the heading, "Meghan Markle is a ruthless social climbing actress who has landed the role of her life and is determined to milk it for all she can." He wrote, and I quote, "When someone more important and influential came along in the shape of Prince Harry, I was instantly dumped like a sack of spuds. From the moment I read that Prince Harry backed what Meghan wants, Meghan gets at Palace Contes in the run-up to their wedding, my heart sank. And anyone or anything that may not give her what she wants or gets in the way of her social climbing self-advancement gets discarded." Her first husband ditched as her Suits career took off. Her dysfunctional family banned from the wedding.
I got to be honest, I knew Meghan for a bit before she met Harry, did exactly the same to me. Bang, done. She did that to many people that she knew, that she'd either worked with or was friends with or whatever. It just seems to me she's what I would call a ruthless social climber, who just when people are no longer, no longer appropriate parts of her circle, they have to be expunged quickly so she can move on up the ladder.
Piers' statement seemed to be reflective of Markle's character, if her agent's words are to go by.
So welcome to part 2 of Meghan's disposable friends, and I'm going to focus on this episode on Gina Nelthorpe-Cowan.
Talking to Daily Mail, she said, "One day we were having lunch on the Strand in London, and it was obvious she was getting very serious with Harry. I said, 'This is serious. This is the end of privacy and everything.' She just held up her hand and said, 'Save it. I don't want to hear any negativity.' Only a week before Meghan's engagement, Meghan stopped working with Gina."
So within a week of that, Gina Nelthorpe-Cowan received an email from Meghan cutting all ties, sacking her. She was Meghan Markle from that point. Never heard.
During an interview in The Ellen Show, Meghan teamed up with Ellen for a prank. The concept was Meghan would wear an earpiece and go to various vendors. She would then say and do whatever Ellen told her through the ear. The purpose of the interview was obvious, to pass Meghan as relatable. However, the prank never landed as they intended, and the common consensus was that it was painful to watch. It's lovely to see rich, wealthy people humiliate one another for public. I feel actually sorry for all the vendors. Horrible. Absolutely disgraceful behavior. No wonder the royal family wants nothing to do with her. Any dignity and class Meghan Markle might have had went out the window. With the video having left a poor taste in people's mouth, Piers was heads over heels, writing in a Daily Mail article, "Until last night, the most nauseous I've ever felt in my life was after eating a vegan sausage roll live on air. A reckless decision that prompted me to instantly haul into a large bucket. Watching them giggle and preen away, stroking each other's ego and dishing out cash to charity, you'd think they are the kindest, sweetest human beings to ever bestride the globe." End of quote. However, that was not the most controversial interview she did. Prior to the Ellen interview, Meghan Markle did the now infamous interview with Oprah Winfrey. Speaking to Oprah back in 2021, Meghan explained to her that there was a decision made that her son would not be assigned a royal title.
They didn't want him to be a prince or a princess, not knowing what the gender would be.
Discussing as to why she received such treatment, Meghan hinted at racism.
What? Hold up.
There are several conversations.
There's a conversation with you?
With Harry.
About how dark your baby is going to be?
potentially, and what that would mean or look like?
That conversation I'm never going to share. But at the time it was awkward. I was a bit shocked.
Can you tell us what the question was?
No, I'm not comfortable sharing that.
Okay.
The interview was highly criticized. For one, people questioned Oprah Winfrey's interviewing skills. I generally had some respect for Oprah, but seeing how she let all these loopholes slip, I really lost all respect for her. When Oprah reacts, there's an almost smile in the eyes of both women. They had already discussed it. Oprah Winfrey had plenty of time and opportunity to check on Meghan's story before airing it. My respect for Oprah doing this interview just sank to a new level. And two, people felt that the racism claims were a bit of a stretch. My brother and I are mixed and we both have white partners. When my brother's girlfriend was pregnant, we talked about how dark their kid could be. We have 5 mixed kids, and even to this day, we will talk about their skin color as they are different shades. Talking about the possible features of your unborn baby is pretty much universal. The same question was raised with my husband. Meghan's father also shared the same sentiments. I'm guessing and hoping it's just a damn question from somebody. Piers, as expected, jumped on Meghan's criticism train, writing to Daily Mail. Was it racist of me to say it was hypocritical of Meghan to have a $500,000 celebrity-fueled baby shower party in New York, including a lift on George Clooney's jet on the same day she and Harry tweeted a plea for people to think about the poor? Was it racist of me to say it was dreadfully two-faced of her and Harry to preach about need to watch every carbon footprint as they jumped on Sir Elton John's private jet every 10 minutes? Was it racist of me to criticize her and Harry for disowning Meghan's father Thomas after he foolishly and naively colluded with the paparazzi? This last statement takes us to the center of their it. Thomas Markle, Meghan's father, first married Roslyn, to which they had Samantha and Thomas Markle Jr. His first marriage ended in 1973 and would wed Doria in 1979. With her, the couple had Meghan in 1981. 6 years later, the couple divorced. During a highly publicized relationship with Prince, her father and half-sister discussed their relationship with Meghan on media tabloids.
There was such an obsession about anything in my world, including tracking down my parents, and I did everything I could to protect both of them in that media frenzy. But for over a year, the UK tabloids were trying to find my dad, offering people so much money to try to find his address. Once they did, I remember being told there was a huge headline like, "We found him," or "We've got him." You're talking about someone's father. And from that point, the tabloids, they moved into the apartment next door and across from him, descended on this small town, were just giving him gifts. The whole thing brings us to where we are today.
This hugely irritated Meghan.
Did it feel like betrayal when you found out your father was working with the tabloids?
If we're going to use the word betrayal, it's because when I asked him, when we were told by the comms team this is a story that was going to be coming out, which, by the way, the tabloids had apparently known for a month or so and decided to hold until the Sunday before our wedding because they wanted to create drama, which is also a really key point in all this. They don't report the news, they create the news. We called my dad and I asked him, and he said, no, absolutely not.
He said, no, absolutely not. He hadn't been talking to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he basically lied to you.
Well, and so when I said to me, and if you tell me the truth, we can help. And he wasn't able to do that. And that for me has really resonated, especially now as a mother.
This would result her not inviting her Markle family, except her mother, to her wedding.
How do we explain that this half-sister isn't invited to the wedding, but that the half-sister's daughter is, with Ashley? The guidance at the time was to not have her come to our wedding.
Yeah, that was a lie. Impeccably placed royal sources told the Sunday Times no such guidance was ever given.
And although Piers seemed to be siding with Markle family now, a few years back he had a different idea.
Piers, great interview this morning. How would you describe Samantha, the half-sister?
Ghastly, appalling, the kind of worst half-sister imaginable. Somebody who clearly wants to be Meghan Markle, is seething with jealousy she's not Meghan Markle, and is now eking out this kind of miserable career.
With the drama unfolding before our eyes, instead of backing down, the Markle family would rather double down and go all out in criticizing Meghan and her antics.
Samantha Markle. And Samantha, look, I've been thinking about you the past 24 hours because I always believed you, by the way, when you warned the world that your sister was a compulsive liar and was known for twisting the truth. But she's pushed it too far this time, hasn't she, Sam?
Responding to Meghan's statements that she felt betrayed by her father, Mr. Markle poked at Meghan's husband, claiming that we all make mistakes, but at least he never played naked pool or dressed up like a famous Austrian painter. This was in reference to Prince Harry's incident in 2005 and 2012. That was not the only time Harry slipped up.
Well, Harry's decision to reveal the number of Taliban chess pieces he killed as an Apache pilot in Afghanistan has been condemned as a betrayal of the armed forces.
In his autobiography, Harry wrote,
"Most soldiers don't know exactly how many kills they have to their credit. So my number, 25, it was not something that filled me with satisfaction, but I was not ashamed either."
And you might be thinking that Piers is meddling in their private life, considering the couple left Britain for US in search of their privacy.
Move about getting away from the UK press, because the press is, you know, is everywhere, or was a move because you weren't getting enough support from the firm?
It was both.
Both. Everyone in the world knew where we were.
I said we need to get out of here.
However, that statement seems satirical.
We want privacy! We want privacy! We want privacy! Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines? What are you suggesting? Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy!
As of Meghan, she published a book called Bench. The book is about the bond of a child and his father.
Meghan says this book is about the relationship between fathers and sons, told through the eyes of a mother.
Which sounds comical considering Meghan neglected her aging father, while Harry has been critical of his father.
I mean, that moment when Prince Harry, who's never met your father, says that Meghan has no father. How is your father? I mean, he had a massive stroke, and I think at one stage, for quite a while, he lost the power of his speech. Has that returned now? Is he able to communicate with you?
Yeah, his speech is definitely coming back. We're making a lot of progress with the speech therapy.
Among the people criticizing the book was Piers Morgan. Speaking to Daily Mail, he wrote, "Wonder how much these touching sentiments will resonate with their own family. Lest we forget, Miss Markle has ruthlessly disowned her father Thomas and refuses to have anything to do with him, despite the fact that they now live just 70 miles from each other. She is also reported to have disowned every Markle. As for Harry, who ditched his family, country and duty because his chilling, controlling, ambitious wife wanted him to. And unforgivably, he did this as Charles was desperately worried about his father, Prince Philip, who was lying seriously ill in hospital and later died."
Latest installment was downright seditious. Prince Harry mauls his own brother. He accuses his father, the new king, of being a liar. He even has a dig at his late great-grandmother, the Queen, for standing by and doing nothing.
If you wish to be the king of the jungle, it's not enough to act like a king. You must be the king. There can be no doubt.